This is the Hidden Killers podcast with Tony Bruschi.
We've been following this case for you over the last couple of weeks, kind of in the recap mode of it, if you're just starting to hear about it, because it kind of came and went somewhat quickly. But we have the full trial audio for you up here on the podcast feed. We even have a separate podcast that focuses solely on the audio from the courtroom and our commentaries and our interviews. You can find that. It's Nightmare in Wisconsin. It is Nightmare in Wisconsin, the Taylor Schabusiness trial. We are going to talk about this. Me and Carol, we have not had a chance to discuss this one. She's was found guilty of first-degree intentional homicide, third-degree sexual assault, mutilating a corpse after a 3-day trial in Green Bay. She confessed to strangling Shad Thyrion during rough sex and later dismembering his body. The court moves to the next phase now to determine if Schabusiness is mentally fit. And as of the time of this recording, that has not been determined, but by the time this airs, that may have already been determined. But we're going to talk about it from the perspective of what the case is all about. Have you gone through, have you read the whole story? Have you absorbed the horror that is Taylor Schabusiness?
Yes. And horror is right. Like, this is the most, well, and it's so horrific and sad. And the fact that his poor mother found some of his remains.
Yeah, she found some of his remains, including his head and his penis in a bucket. And it happened in Wisconsin.
I can't wrap my brain around that.
I know. Well, this is, I mean, if you watched any of the trial and you watched her mental state, I do not think she's there. I think she's reacting to shit that's not even being said. She seems very confused constantly, like, why am I here? Like, what is this? Why would you say that? And then she makes really weird gestures at things. This is someone, who should be in a padded room for all intents and purposes.
She's the one who attacked her. Was it the lawyer?
She attacked her attorney. Yeah. Early on, she attacked the attorney.
Former attorney.
No, it's the same attorney.
Same one?
Yeah. Yeah. She attacked him in the courtroom early on in a hearing. It's really kind of over nothing. It was the end of the hearing. The judge and the attorneys were setting a date for the next hearing. And all of a sudden, she just launches out and attacks him. This is, if you ever look at a case and go, is there something else going on? Is this just like a really brain damaged person from all the drugs that she did, along with mental illness and whatever else is going on with her? She has a history of mental illness. She has a history of psychiatric and mental health problems. And then you mix drugs into it, like a lot of meth. This is what you get. This is, at the end of the day, she's basically a zombie, is really, I think, the nicer way of putting it. You could call her a demon, you can call her evil, and she is. But I think she's much more of a zombie than anything else, where she's simply reacting in ways that are so primal and so nonsensical that this is what you ended up getting, is this horror of a woman.
I think that because one might say, well, she's doing that for the court because she wants to be deemed mentally unstable. And I would not advise anyone to listen to any of it because it's horrific. But when she was interrogated by the police after the murder, she was saying crazy things then. Yeah. I mean, and look at the crime she committed. This is someone who's not right.
Yeah.
And, so what she did to him, it was like, I started strangling him and then I was just kind of into it.
Yeah. And then she has sex with the corpse.
And they said, like, basically she cut him up and, like, I can't even, like, just what she did to him is just so horrific that and I want to get my brain around this because she's in the basement of his mom's house. His mom's upstairs. Over the course of some of this happening.
Yeah.
I'm assuming she left and went to work or something like that. She said at one point she opened the door and put the cat in the basement. while she's doing this. Like, so the poor mother doesn't even know what's going on, just thinks her son's in the basement, or maybe she doesn't even realize he had come home. I don't know.
The boyfriend's body was described as eviscerated with organs removed. I mean, it's just the thought of and she apparently took them out kind of one by one.
And did weird things like cut the foot off and put it into his chest cavity.
Yeah, it's very evil, deliberate, demonic. I mean, I don't know. I said this the other day, and I'm not going all woo-woo on this, and I really don't believe that this is the case. But if you ever watch somebody in a trial and you hear about what they did and the way that she's reacting to things, you'd be hard-pressed to not look at her and go, I wonder if she's possessed. I mean...
No, I get that.
I mean, if tables started levitating in that courtroom, I honestly wouldn't have been that surprised. I'd have been like, oh, I guess she is. But obviously that didn't happen. She's extremely mentally sick and ill and an evil human being. And that's what you're dealing with. But this is evil incarnate. This is an example of an evil human being in the flesh that continued to have the absolute worst in humanity continually brought out in her through a lot of drug use.
And I have a question for you, because you're from Wisconsin, so maybe you know how the criminal system works. But it seems to me like they would have deemed her mentally fit or unfit
they did.
Before the trial, but they did. So why are they doing this secondary thing, this next phase that determines if she's mentally fit to go to jail, or is that they put her into a mental facility?
I think that's where it's going. The reason for it is because she pled not guilty by reason of insanity. She was found guilty. Now I think they're trying to gauge, well, just how insane are you or were you? And they're going into details on that because ultimately it will affect sentencing on where and what she ends up getting.
Pretty freaking crazy, if you ask me, because none of the crime makes any sense. It was almost like she's getting off on it, but she's still absolutely, she was high as a kite, I'm assuming, when they started having sex. And then, she's mentally unstable. It's like this perfect storm of all this horrificness. And she appears to be possessed. It's like one person. And there's nothing more that could be wrong with this woman.
And by the way, she's married and has a kid.
No.
Yes.
She does?
She does. The child, I've learned, is in the custody of grandparents in Texas. And the husband is in Brown County Jail on other charges. But yesterday on Murder in the Morning, or not yet, when this airs, it would have been a couple days ago. It would have been on the 27th is when it would have aired. So if you want to go back and look at an episode of Murder in the Morning with Stacy and myself, we went through his Facebook page, and he wrote letters to her and then statements about her. And he's very proud of his name, Schabusiness, which it's not. His name is Shabro, and he legally changed it to Schabusiness. I think he thought it was
so that explains that weird last name, because I was like, where did this name even come from?
A meth addict made it up. A meth addict thought, I'm going to do this. And he has a very grandiose way of speaking of himself, about his empire, about, he fits the profile so well of a narcissist and probably sociopath, but he's very, very much, the world doesn't see you for who you are, and this is not you, and it's not your fault, and but it's insane. And he keeps using the word "sha" in things. He'll put it in front of other words because it's like not sure right, or it's insane. It's fucking insane.
My God, I hope that little girl's grandparents are stable, and I hope she gets some help, because that's a lot to deal with, hearing what your mother did.
It's a 1-year-old child, so all one can do and hope and pray is that those grandparents pretend that the mom and dad never ever existed.
You're locked into the Hidden Killers podcast.
Want more? Start binging on all of our true crime podcasts right now through Apple Podcasts and get an ad-free experience when you sign up to be a True Crime Today Premium Plus member exclusively on Apple Podcasts.
More of the Hidden Killers podcast dropping soon.
Press subscribe now.